Green flag.
You're listening to the Pit Pass with Alan Bailey, your personal pass to everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Now here's your host, Alan Bailey.
Welcome on into the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey, sitting alongside the one, the only, Brian Matthews.
Hey, thank you very much, Alan. God, what a great day. Got a lot of stuff going on. I tell you, the next 2 weeks is going to be crazy as we get started.
See, the beautiful thing about NASCAR is, in most sports, opening day, that's a day, maybe an afternoon, maybe into the evening if you're lucky.
Sure.
In our sport, it's 2 whole flippin' weeks, man.
Wow.
2 whole weeks. We're down in Daytona. Teams have already started to arrive. Crewmen are already down there. The media's getting down in Daytona, getting settled, getting comfy. A lot of people, speed's one of them. They're going wacky. They're going to be on the air something like 137 hours.
That's incredible, isn't it? When you look at NASCAR 30 years ago, it was near nothing as far as television goes. Now it's bumper to bumper, if you will.
Absolutely. And you look at Speed Weeks, 130 some odd hours in about a week and a half period, actually. I remember there was a time in NASCAR where if there was 137 hours in the entire season that was devoted on a television network, that was a good year, man.
Well, even back in the old days, it was on tape delay. They would actually tape the races and replay them, so you never got anything live, and sometimes you actually knew who was going to win before the race started on television.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You had a lot of that stuff going on, and you know what? It was awesome. It was some great stuff because NASCAR fans, they got their fill, but nowadays so much more coverage. It's phenomenal.
Well, excuse me.
He has a frog in his throat.
You've also got to think about all the different sources of television we have now.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got we have your networks. We've got ESPN and Fox, and we have all their subsidiaries. We've got Speed now.
Oh yeah, you have some networks that are just 20. You even have some internet stuff that's just 24/7 NASCAR. I mean, you have NASCAR Sirius XM, 24/7 NASCAR all the time. And you know what? We're gonna start the show off here with something that is dear to my heart, and this is a travesty. It's devastating for Southern California racing. It really is. It's the story of the Irwindale Speedway. No longer the Toyota Speedway of Irwindale. We're going to get into that in a second. But more importantly, what you can do to help the track. We're going to talk about that later on. But right now, we got to get this show started. We got the Bud Shootout this weekend, and we got to get that opening lap in right here, right now. Presented by PitPass.net.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
One of the finest short tracks in the nation is history. Workers were dismantling the pit grandstand just adjacent to the front of Turn 1 at the Irwindale Speedway in Southern California on Saturday. Vice President and General Manager Bob DeFranco and some staff members were actually locked in the administration building on Saturday morning with a moving truck backed up to the side office entrance, moving boxes stacked inside, and DeFranco, through track operations director Bob Klein, refused to comment this last weekend. Efforts to reach DeFranco have been unsuccessful thus far. The track's eighth mile facility remains intact on Saturday and still does to this day, but according to sources, workers were given final paychecks last Thursday during a regular street legal session. More on this story later this hour.
EcoBoost, the line of Ford production engines that provides increased power and fuel efficiency while reducing emissions, is coming to NASCAR, but not under the hood. Ford is reaching out to its huge racing audience through a multi-tiered marketing campaign focusing on EcoBoost, beginning with this month's Daytona 500. EcoBoost will serve as a primary paint scheme for defending NASCAR Series champion Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as he makes his Daytona 500 debut in the number 6 Roush Fenway Ford Fusion. EcoBoost will also be featured for select races on the number 17 Fusion of former NASCAR Sprint Car champion Matt Kenseth through the 2012 Sprint Cup campaign. EcoBoost will also appear on the Mustang race cars of Stenhouse Jr., Roush Fenway Racing teammate Trevor Bayne, and other select races for the 2012 Nationwide Series.
Chip Bolin will serve as the crew chief this weekend at Daytona International Speedway on the number 99 Fastenal Ford with Carl Edwards. The reason Bob Osborne isn't at the track, unfortunately, he lost his father this last week. Osborne will return to Daytona next week to lead Edwards and the team in the Gatorade Duels for the Daytona 500. Bolin is currently the head engineer for Roush Fenway Racing and has previously served as Matt Kenseth Sprint Cup Series crew chief.
Dale Earnhardt Incorporated will be holding their annual Candlelight Remembrance of Dale Earnhardt on Saturday from 6 until 9 in the evening. The showroom will be open to the public and will be illuminated with candles. Commemorative decals and prayer cards will be distributed to all in attendance. A memorial guest book will be available throughout the day for those who would like to share their memories of Dale. Fans are invited to attend the Dale Earnhardt Inc. on Highway 3 in Mooresville, North Carolina. Those unable are encouraged to light a candle in remembrance of the spirit and life of Dale Earnhardt. As we continue the legend, also we appreciate your support for the Dale Earnhardt Foundation and Dale's passions, children education, and environmental wildlife conservation.
David Rudiman will drive the number 93 Toyota for BK Racing in the Daytona 500. Todd Anderson will serve as the crew chief for the team. Now, Travis Quaffle will take over driving duties for the number 93 Toyota at Phoenix for the March 4th Sprint Cup Series race. BK Racing also announced last week that Landon Castle will drive the number 83 Toyota starting in Daytona. Well, Canada's TSN announced Monday that they will air every single NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and Nationwide Series race on their networks, TSN or TSN2. For the first time, the first race that'll hit the airwaves will be the Budweiser Shootout that's going to be airing this Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on TSN2. Hillman Racing and Aaron's have announced that two-time Daytona 500 champ Michael Waltrip will drive the number 40 Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota in the 2012 Daytona 500. The race will mark Waltrip's 75th start at Daytona in one of NASCAR's top 3 touring series, the most of any driver in history.
If you ever sent a letter to Jeff Gordon in the 90s, chances are that it was opened by Molly and Russ Harris, the founders of Jeff Gordon National Fan Club, the largest personal touch fan club in racing. For more than a decade, they've opened Jeff Gordon's Mail. Molly's new book, Opening Jeff Gordon's Mail, takes readers on a behind-the-scenes tour of the Jeff Gordon National Fan Club.
And Ford Motor Company announced the expansion of the automaker's partnership with the Bristol Motor Speedway and the sponsorship of the upcoming Nationwide Series race in the spring. The Ford EcoBoost 300 takes place March 17th at the world's fastest half mile, adding to Ford's involvement at the Bristol Motor Speedway, which includes sponsorship of Ford Friday qualifying for the Ford Thunder Valley Nationals at Bristol Drag Strip. Also, Ford is the official vehicle of the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Turn 1 Racing has officially announced today that the 2006 CASCAR Super Series champion J.R. Fitzpatrick has been named driver of the number 60 Chevrolet in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Fitzpatrick replaces Cole Witt, who finished 9th in the series standings last year and has since moved to compete full-time at JR Motorsports. The 23-year-old native of Cambridge, Ontario, was the youngest driver to ever win the CASCAR Super Series championship, an accomplishment he received at the age of 18 after recording 1 win, 5 podium finishes, and 2 pole awards.
Pretty impressive right there. Eddie Sharp Racing announced that 1995 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champ Mike Skinner will join the team for the season opening race at the Daytona International Speedway on Friday, February 24th, in the one-race deal that will place Skinner behind the wheel of the number 8 Chevrolet for the next era Energy Resources 250 at Daytona Beach, Florida, after purchasing assets from Kevin Harvick Inc. following the conclusion of the 2011 season. ESR expects to run 3 full-time teams throughout the 2012 season. Having Skinner in the number 8 Chevrolet entry at Daytona International Speedway moves the organization closer to that goal. Well, that is our opening lap. A little later on in the show, we're going to have more information about the new Red Bull owners and some point swaps that are going on in order to secure some spots for the Daytona 500. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And that's your opening lap presented by pitpass.net. And it's going to be one of those wacky shows because so many people talking about the Toyota Speedway, formerly the Toyota Speedway, now Irwindale Speedway, but even that's inaccurate now, Brian. Matt, it continues to perplex the mind. Southern California doesn't have a circle track right now.
Well, no, but it's like anything else. I mean, it's just another victim of a couple things. Number one, the economy hasn't been doing good the last few years, as we've seen tracks close virtually every year. The last one of distant memory here in California was Mesa Marin.
Absolutely.
And again, they were in the middle of building that. They had the stands up, they had the track done, and ran out of money. I think it's the same thing. You get the economy, along with some bad management. Sounds like in this case it might have caused disaster.
Absolutely. And you look at the Toyota Speedway, formerly now the Irwindale Speedway, the track itself, opened in 1999, has had some really prestigious races out there. The Toyota All-Star Showdown out there for a number of years. That one sold out for a number of years, about 5 years that was being held out there, sold out. You had the likes of Tony Stewart, Joey Logano, Justin Lofton out there, Jeff Gordon raced out there. A number of really talented guys raced out at this racetrack, and now it's gone. It's not gone, it's closed.
I think it's going to be a good opportunity for somebody to jump in there. I mean, the longer the thing stays dormant, the less money they're going to have to pay for it, and perhaps now with new management, it would be really nice if NASCAR could carry that track for a year while they put everybody into place and then have it take care of itself. The problem that we're going to have is if there are no races, there are no fans. If there are no fans, there are no rears in the seat. If there's no rears in the seat, there's no money in the coffers. It is, as you say, it's one of the premier short track facilities in the country. It would be nice if they could come in and just take care of business for a year, keep it going, and then spin it off.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is now it's a matter of finding somebody to take control of the speedway and to get some more racing back on the track. Now, we're going to talk about it more in detail later on in the show. LA Racing, which is a racing school, and a number of tracks have them throughout Southern California and throughout the nation. But this LA Racing School is a school that's located out there on the speedways where their offices are. You can go out for a couple $100. You and your buddies can go out there in a stock car, race, balls to the wall, if that's what you want to call it.
Race crash,
whatever. Have some good fun on the speedway. I was down there on Monday when all of this was hitting the fan, if you will. Monday, I saw the track, walked out on in the garage area a little bit, talked to a number of people out there. LA Racing is still there. Their offices are still open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they're still accepting people for their courses.
Wow.
They will be there for at least another 7 or 8 months on the track with those cars. So we know that the track itself is still there. It will be there at least until the summer.
You know, when we were talking before the show, we were talking about who perhaps could step in if it wasn't NASCAR and take charge of that track. And the first person that came to mind with me was Roger Penske. You know, Roger built the California Speedway track, also owned Michigan before spinning it off, and is very familiar. And with all of his car agencies located in Southern California, you think that it would make it for a nice mix.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You look at Penske, he might be interested, he might not be. I'm hearing that Tony Stewart is a little bit interested in this racetrack. He does own Ardora and a number of other racetracks throughout the country. It wouldn't surprise me to see Tony Stewart come in and purchase this track, put some good staffing in place. I mean, realistically, you look at the facility, nothing needs to be done. Nothing. Not a darn thing. You just need to turn the power on. That's all that needs to take place at this track. The only thing that I would do now is put the grandstands that were in the pit area back up. Because if you've logged on to the pitpass.net in the last couple days here, you've seen the exclusive photos that those grandstands are gone. They have been dismantled. So put those grandstands back in the garage area so that crew members can go out there and keep an eye on the track and spot for their driver. The stands themselves are still standing. The concession stand still there. Garage area still there. The lighting still there. The safety crew and medical center still there, still functioning. Everything is there and working. Simply put, you need to have somebody who can get a nice staff built together, hire back the old staff, if you ask me, bring the staffing back, turn the power on. That's all that needs to happen here. And I think that it's going to be done here in the next year or so. It's just a matter of who is going to do it.
So in your mind right now, are we going to continue to have racing? Is somebody going to pick it up, or are we looking for a year hiatus?
We're looking for a year hiatus. Even if, let's just say, Tony Stewart and NASCAR ride in with their billions of dollars on their back, and they divulge billions and millions into this track, which it doesn't really need, and gets it out of debt and gets it going again. You've already canceled racing for the 2012 season. I think that if somebody acts quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean within the next few weeks here, if somebody acts quickly, you can get cars back out on the track within 2 months.
Sure.
Scheduling. Because simple fact of the matter is, the local short track guys who raced at this track every single weekend still have their cars and they're still ready to go. I talked to a number of guys who race out at this racetrack every single week. A lot of them are good friends of mine. A number of them were caught off guard at the end of last season. The Speedway canceled the last 2 weekend races that they had leading up into November, and they also canceled the championship banquet. So a lot of these guys still have race cars that are ready to go for those 2 races.
Well, and as we talk about the drivers, where now do they go on their weekends? Where are they going to take off
That's
to?
exactly it. I know a number of guys who raced out there in different forms of racing on every Saturday night. I know one guy out there who's going to remain nameless out of respect for him and his family. He would literally go out there every Saturday night.
Sure.
He started when he was in his teens. Now he's in his 40s. He's still racing out there. Loves the heck out of it.
Sure.
Owns about 5 or 6 cars, different forms of cars. Literally, between those different forms of vehicles, races out there every single Saturday, or raced out there every single Saturday. Now, he has no idea what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's got, a number of different tracks throughout this region that he can go to, but for right now, he's more or less up a creek without a paddle.
Sure.
And, excuse me, and the thing that a lot of these guys do, this guy, one of them, we'll call him Mike. We'll call this driver Mike. That's not his real name. In Mike's case, he not only has cars to go out on the track every single weekend, but he builds cars for a number of drivers.
Wow.
He does this for a living, so now his life is affected.
Yeah, it's the double whammy. He's got his hobby taken away and all his livelihood and also his business,
absolutely.
it sounds like.
I was actually talking to him on Sunday night. I found out there was a piece in the paper that ran out here in Southern California on Sunday morning. That's when I found out about some of the activities. And the first thing I did was I called him up and I said, hey, are you okay? And I literally had to talk him down. He was getting emotional because he's not only concerned about what he goes out and he has fun doing, which is what it is, fun on the weekend, but now his business, his livelihood, the chance to provide for his family is gone.
So is there, I mean, I know I'm from the Central Valley, and, there are, there are dirt tracks from Bakersfield through Stockton. Is there a track located somewhere that actually is something similar as far as short track racing on paved?
There is, and you know what? We'll get into that in a little bit. We're a little late for a break here. When we come back, we're going to have a lot more information about the Irwindale Speedway closing, a few of the rumors that are out there, a few of the possibilities, and what you can do to help in order to get this speedway back on its feet financially and to get it going. And it won't cost you a thing, which is my favorite part. This is the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
I don't know where you are, but I think you're 5 wide. That's how we need to do it, boys. That was awesome. Yeah. We're either going to get them or we're going to wreck. 4 times, a little upset. Dude, I left him room. What the hell? He always does that. He always crowds people to make people live. And he pisses me off so much. You have no idea.
Like I said, he's going to run out of gas for us to get him. Let's make sure we finish this thing.
That was a bull call.
You never quit. This is how you're going to win a championship. You never quit.
Therefore, we're going to keep scratching off that bucket list for you, buddy.
Stay in it. Wide open. Come on. Come on, baby.
How about that, boys? You're awesome.
The Pit Pass with Alan Bailey will return in just a few moments.
This is NASCAR driver David Gilliland.
David Gilliland wins in Kentucky. This is one happy crew.
You're listening to audio8ball.com.
I spent years learning to cope with mental health problems and substance addiction, and I'm proud of myself. But this world today makes me feel like I need drugs and alcohol again to cope. But then all my hard work would just go away.
Don't abuse substances to cope. Get information and treatment referral at 1-800-662-HELP.
I'll pick you up after school. Okay, I got it.
It's easy to take a day for granted. You and your family are connected by routine, and you stick to it. But what if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if your day's routine is disrupted and you can't reach your family? Have you planned for that? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Today, learn how at www.ready.gov. Ready.gov. This message brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
The world-famous audio8ball.com. audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild. Cruising and playing the radio, with no particular place to go. Riding along in my automobile, I was anxious to tell her the way I feel. So I told her softly and sincere, and she leaned and whispered in my ear, cuddling more and driving slow, with no particular place to go.
the Pit Pass right here on the world famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else on this wet and wild Wednesday here in Southern California? And the hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, I think you got that from me.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, well, well, it's okay. I stole it from radio in the late 60s.
There you go. But no, a little Chuck Berry right there getting you through this very wet Wednesday here in Southern California. But we're talking about the Irwindale Speedway closing. And here's the latest rumor. And if you've been, if you've logged on to the pitpass.net, you know what I'm talking about. You've read this article. But we're hearing from local racers and other workers out at the Speedway that the track is up for sale, officially. Basically, what's happening is Lucas Oil has been in talks with the old management to come on as a title sponsor for the racetrack. Now, what we're hearing, and this is unconfirmed, is that Lucas Oil is actually in talks to now buy the Irwindale Speedway and turn it into a dirt track.
Wow. What is it going to cost them if they were to buy it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. We have some numbers and some statistics here. Say that 5 times fast. That really could, change things up a bit and prevent people from maybe buying it. Now, I want to talk about a little bit more about what Lucas Oil wants to do. One Speedway worker that talked to me on Monday, he prefers to remain nameless here, says that Lucas Oil does in fact plan to reopen the track for the 2012 season after they turn the third mile into a dirt track, keeping the half mile on the outside a track pavement as is. The plan is to run dirt races and stock car races every weekend at the Speedway.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the plan is to also be able to actually move dirt from the inner part of the racetrack for drift racing, which is nuts when you think about it.
As far as, I'm just thinking, if they're going to run them all, would they run them all the same night or would they run them the same weekend? You run, dirt tracks on Friday and the others on Saturday?
Well, that's my question.
You only have so much pit room for all those cars.
Not only that, but here's my thing, is I'm all for putting dirt and asphalt in the same category. I think that's awesome. However, if you have dirt inside of this racetrack and then the outer part is pavement, where's that dirt going to go? It's going to get flinged up and it's going to go right onto the pavement.
Sure.
It's going to cause a big old mess. And here's another thing. If you're going to make it so that if you want to keep the drift cars out there, they do a number of drifting events out there at the Irwindale Speedway, or did. Here's the thing. A dirt track is a lot different than a paved track with dirt on it. Mm-hmm. Not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. Plus, dirt tracks are built in certain areas where there's clay, where there's rich soil.
Sure.
To move and play with and have some good racing on.
Well, probably in some place it doesn't have Santa Ana winds running through it every so often. That's going to move it all around anyway.
No kidding. There's another dirt track that's out here in Paris, California, called Paris Speedway. That's got some pretty good dirt track racing out there. It's built on some great land out there that has a lot of the dirt moves around a lot.
Yeah.
It's perfect. But this just, I don't know, it makes it seem weird.
Well, I think it's fair to say that something good is going to happen out of this. Of course, when someone goes into bankruptcy, it goes before a bankruptcy judge, and that's basically everybody is going to be bidding, similar to the Dodgers, similar to this as their bankruptcy is going too. The judge is going to have the final say on who comes in and actually who pays for that particular track.
Absolutely, and if you're talking about money, here we go. Irwindale Speedway LLC is the name of the company that owns the Speedway and runs the Speedway. They declared bankruptcy on Monday, citing about $331,000 that is owed to land. The largest amount is $150,000 owed in personal injury claims towards the Speedway. Irwindale LLC also owes New Way Industries, Inc., the company that actually owns the property and offices that were built, about $5,500 in rent. Irwindale Speedway LLC has a couple of other personal injury claims that are pretty outstanding with an unknown value, estimated about $1 million each.
Wow.
$1 million plus each. There's also a debt of a little over $8,000 owed to the city of the city of Walnut or of Irwindale rather Police Department. About $16,000 owed to the Golden State Water and Power Company, and about $2,000 owed to the San Gabriel Valley Tribune for advertising. So there's quite a bit of money.
But that amount of money in the big picture doesn't. I was thinking it was going to be much greater than that.
You're looking at about $250,000 in debt right now, which isn't, when you look at the facility and you think about the business in general, that's not a whole lot.
Nah.
But here's where the big one is. There's 4 buildings on the property owned by the company that owns the land, New Way Industries. Those buildings are valued, their estimated value is around $31 million right now, according to the documents filed in the Los Angeles County Treasury.
Okay, that number sounds about right.
It does. And when you think about the track itself and all the other things, let's just say on the property, parking lots, drag strips, specialized equipment, et cetera, you're looking at about $35 million, $40 million for this track. $40 million for a track in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's not horrible as far as racetracks are concerned. And here's my 2 cents. When you look at this racetrack and the amount of revenue and the amount of just raw dollars that is in this racetrack, not only with the local short track guys coming out every Saturday night, but with also specialty events, drag racing. You can bring your drag racer out and drag on the speedway, but also with the drifting, the House of Drift. Those guys are out there twice a year. They sell out. The parking lot is full to capacity, and they do it consistently. That in itself, to me, is saying that there's money to be had in this racetrack.
Well, and I'm sure that the owner of the buildings, with everything being there, is certainly motivated, and I'm thinking they're probably out looking for someone that would help sponsor the racetrack.
That's exactly it. The track management, they're done. However, the landowners really do want somebody to come in and buy this track and continue racing.
Hey, what about Rusty Wallace?
I don't know if he just closed Rusty Wallace Inc. I don't know if he has got the cash.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I know he had purchased a bunch of tracks in the Midwest.
He had. I don't know.
But maybe not now.
I'll see if we run into him here in a couple weeks, then maybe yeah.
I don't know if that would be a question I would want to ask. I would want to ask him over at the Speedway.
You want to buy a Speedway? Come on, Rusty.
Yeah, Rusty.
That's going to be a good conversation. We should have it.
And what happened to your other tracks?
Let's not bring those up.
No. I still think Roger Penske should come in.
I think that would be a good bet.
You know, Longo Toyota is the largest Toyota. It's the largest Toyota dealership in the country.
Really?
And who owns it?
Roger Penske.
That's right.
There you go.
There you go.
I think he's got the cash. I don't know if he's willing to, though. He's a very smart businessman. Maybe
he doesn't make many mistakes.
No, he does not. So who knows? Maybe we'll see it. But, want to get into emails here a little bit here, just concerning a lot of emails. Brian, a lot of emails regarding the Irwindale Speedway. We got here one here from Mike in Upland. It reads, "Hey guys, why is Irwindale closing? I go to that track every Saturday night and love the drags." Mike, it's simple. Money.
Money. It's all about money, unfortunately.
You look at the track as a whole. I mean, there were some nights, and I'll attest to this, over the last season, a couple seasons actually, that track's numbers have dramatically declined. Not sure why. Just have.
Well, people don't have the money, Alan, that they had 3, 4, 5 years ago. Everybody is looking at every cent, and what does it cost now to go to the
it's
Speedway?
About, when you look at it,
if you were to take your average family, how much would it cost?
I'll tell you right now. When I went, oh God, when was it? It was maybe in October when I went to Irwindale last, which is freaking me out now, thinking that it might be the last time I went to Irwindale Speedway. But in October, I went out with a bunch of friends of mine and just enjoying the Saturday night racing. It's something I do whenever I get a free Saturday night, and I'm not busy. It was about $10.
$10 a head
for a ticket children get in for about $6,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're a student or military or senior, I think you $7 or $8, something like that.
Okay, so basically you're looking at
No more than a movie ticket to go to a movie theater.
And that was what I was going to compare it to, because if you take the family to the movies nowadays, with everything else, if it's a family of 4, it's going to drop $50-$60.
That's it. And here's the argument. People are thinking, oh no, but you have the popcorn that's so much and refreshments and da-da-da. Here's my thing. You go to a movie theater, that stuff's jacked up to, $10. Here's a small popcorn, $10.
Yeah.
You know? But if you go to the track, it's a lot of what Irwindale was doing. This is my speedway, so I know what I'm talking about here. It's my local short track. Their convenient, or their what am I
Concession.
thinking? Concession, thank you. Their concession stand was all volunteers from local schools doing fundraisers.
Sure.
Those prices were very bottom.
All the nonprofits.
Exactly. Nonprofit organizations were doing the concession stand, and because of it, you were getting a Coke or whatever for, a big one, not a small one, a big one, for about $2-3.
Wow.
Nothing. It's, it's more expensive to go to the movies, I think, than it was to go to Irwindale Speedway. Here's my theory, though. With the economy just skyrocketing downwards, you have the local racers who suffered. Because of that, they cut corners with their cars.
Sure.
Can't really afford to go out there and push the envelope.
Sure.
So they drive conservatively. So I think the quality of racing maybe has gone down a little, and the car count has gone down at the Speedway. Did that contribute to the stands? Absolutely. It absolutely did. And should it have? Yes and no. It should have, but to the point where the Speedway goes bankrupt, it's a nightmare.
Well, mismanagement is kind of where it appears that's where everything is pointing to.
I agree with
that.
that.
And again, we talked earlier in the show about the state of the economy, which everybody knows isn't very good. And my gosh, this is not the only big business that has been lost here in the last 2 or 3 years because of the economy and management.
Absolutely not.
Hey, this one comes to us from Tim in Burbank, Alan. Will the Irwindale drag stay open? What about the Drift? Is the House of Drift closed? And again, that comes to us from Tim in Burbank.
Tim, I'll tell you this. Right now, everything's closed. Everything. The drag strip, it's still there. The buildings that were near the drag strip, reportables, they're gone. Sold is what we're assuming. We could see the drags reopen for some competition events. If you're talking about go out on Thursday night and race your car, looks like they're closed, pal. I'm so sorry. The drift racing, as far as that's concerned, I sent emails off to the organization that handles the drag racing out there. Haven't gotten a response back yet, but it's looking like Irwindale hasn't contacted them at all about honoring the date. So with the track still being available and still physically there, it wouldn't surprise me if by the time October rolled around for those drifting races that go on down there in the competition, it wouldn't surprise me if the track reopened for just that event. If the land management stepped in and did that, it would not surprise me at all. My theory is this, though. I think that by the summertime, we will have new owners of the Speedway, and these events will continue in some form. Another big event that is happening, or that does happen every year, we should say, is the USAC racing. They go out there for Turkey Night, man. That's been, you know what that is?
Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Right? That's Thanksgiving.
That's what I'm concerned about. I've gone to Turkey Night for 10 years now.
That's right. And families have been going for generations.
Literally, my father went when he was my age. My grandfather took him. I need to take my kid to that thing, man. Where's my Turkey Night going to be? That's my concern. That's my number one right now.
That's your great concern.
And I got to tell you, out of all the emails I got voicing your opinion on the matter of the Irwindale Speedway, my favorite came to us from somebody who's identifying themselves as SoCal Drifter 69. And it reads, why would they do this? Irwindale is a great track and has great racing every time out. This great track should not go under just because of bad management. SoCal race fans should not have to suffer because of a few bad eggs.
Well, let's echo that.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that this is, you look at the racetracks that have closed in Southern California throughout the years.
Riverside.
Oh,
Riverside comes to mind.
I miss that track.
How about Ontario?
Oh, I missed that one too. I mean, there's been so many great tracks in Southern California that have closed because of bad management.
Yeah.
That's just it. Horrible management. A lot of people are saying, no, it's Southern California, that's a hard ticket to sell for racing. I disagree. You look at the Auto Club Speedway, that track, when we were doing one race out here at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, a cup race was selling out 5 days before the racing even started on Friday.
Sure.
Sold out. Then the economy dived. We got 2 races, went to 1, da-da-da-da-da-da. But that track was selling out when the economy wasn't taking a dive. So if that track can sell out, why can't Irwindale?
Well, and as we talk about dollars and cents, we've talked about ownership, we've talked about the drivers, we've talked about the facility, but the city of Irwindale is out a lot of tax money. That's a lot of money that they are using in redevelopment. So they're not getting their money. And let's face it, in Irwindale, of all places, what else are you going to replace that with?
Another factory.
Especially today. Yeah, but the way things are going now, it's almost in the speedways, it's almost good for them that it is where it is, because who else would want to go to Irwindale?
That makes sense. I mean, you look at the surrounding area of Irwindale, you go to the south of the speedway, it's about a 10,000-foot drop behind the speedway there.
Yeah.
It's a quarry.
Deep into the quarry.
And you look on the other side of it, it's a warehouse and a truck stop. And the other side is a freeway across the street. There's a junkyard. There's nothing in the area.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, it's the perfect place for a racetrack.
It
because
really is.
You don't have neighbors that are going to complain about the noise.
Well,
you don't have all those issues.
As is Fontana.
Exactly. So it's a horrible thing. It's devastating. Here's how you can help, though. There's a Facebook group that was started earlier this week, about 3 days ago. It's called Restore Irwindale Speedway and Drag Strip. It's a Facebook page that is sole mission, quote, straight from the Facebook page, our mission is to spread the word that Southern California community needs Irwindale Speedway and Drag Strip to reopen. I couldn't agree more. This Facebook page, literally, it was started sometime in the last week.
Wow.
Because only Monday was it official. Only really Sunday morning was it widely known that the Speedway was going to more or less close. And already 740 people have already liked the Facebook page.
21st century, called social networking. It's the fastest way to get the word out.
Absolutely. We've contacted or attempted to contact the owners of this Facebook page or whoever started it. And if you're listening, please send us an email, pitpass@audio8ball.com. We'd love to get your take on this. And we'd love to get you on the show if we can, because, you know what, this is so important. And I said it in a post on the Facebook. Whoever runs a page, thank you for doing this, because if you didn't, I would have started that page.
Sure.
I literally saw what was going on. This is just, I think it's how society works nowadays. First thing I did when I found out about Irwindale, hopped online, did a little research about it, sent a few emails, made a few calls. What did I do after that? I popped on Facebook.
Wow.
And I looked up Irwindale Speedway, and Restore Irwindale Speedway and Drag Strip Facebook page came right up. So it's actually a pretty cool Facebook page. There's tons of pictures. There's tons of highlights of different videos that have happened throughout the years up there. So here's my suggestion. Here's my recommendation. Send us an email, pitpass@audio8ball.com. What's your fondest memory of the Irwindale Speedway?
Oh, I'd like to hear that.
I want to hear it. What you got one for us real quick?
You know, off the top of my head, I have friends in Bakersfield, and it's always an experience when they're racing at Irwindale, because those guys will come all the way down here from the Central Valley, which for them is about a 2.5 hour drive, just to watch the racing on Fridays. And it was always that family get together. It wasn't so much the race, but it was the event and getting everybody together at one time as we all enjoyed the sport we love.
I agree with that, and I tell you what, the thing that I'm going to miss the most about the Irwindale Speedway is hanging out on a Saturday night, short track racing, baby, because you don't go to a short track race and on a Saturday night just to watch the racing, you go with somebody.
Sure.
I've never gone to a Saturday night short track race by myself. I've always gone with anywhere from 2 to 10 people.
Well, and as you stated earlier, that is the event of the week for so many families. They may not talk to their friends throughout the week, but they know they're going to be there Saturday at 7:30 and that everything's good.
And here's my thing. I literally turned a group of my friends on to not only racing but into NASCAR through Irwindale Speedway. I said, hey, I know you don't want to go out to that quote-unquote redneck circle track stuff. Come out to this thing. It costs $10. It's the price of a movie.
Sure.
I'll buy you the beer out there. I'll buy you the popcorn. Come out, hang out, see what I'm talking about. Through that, they've become diehard NASCAR fans for life.
It's really funny you say that because my girlfriend was not familiar with NASCAR until we started dating. And, I was watching it every Sunday on TV. I was watching the Nationwide race on Saturday, watching the trucks on Speed on Friday.
That's my thing.
She kind of got caught into it. She kind of caught the NASCAR, and she's a prude. She's one of those gals whose nose is way up in the air, but she started to get the fever, and then I took her out to Auto Club a couple years ago for her first ever NASCAR race, and she was hooked.
That's the thing. You take them to one, they're hooked for life.
They are hooked.
Period, in simple.
And this is the woman that you'd go NASCAR, you'd go, huh? And she's one of those where you go Gucci or something, and she gets excited. But now she goes, hey, when are they racing in Fontana? When are they racing in Phoenix? Hey, let's go to Las Vegas. It's incredible.
That's awesome. And that's what it all comes down to, is getting other fans into the sport. And it's what's gotten so many people interested. Here's my biggest disappointment, though, is those local Saturday night short track guys. I'm bummed for the 40-something-year-old racer who's been racing out there for 10-plus years.
Sure.
I'm bummed for the 30 and the 20-year-old who've been racing out there for years. I'm devastated. On my knees, devastated for the kids who have been racing out there, who are 10 years old, who have looked forward to racing out at Irwindale when they're old enough to drive a bigger car. I'm devastated for them. Because those kids, I got a cousin who does this too, who race those smaller cars in the third mile racetrack. Those cars are about as big as this room. I mean, just they're go-karts with a body over them. They're so cool, and the kids paint them up like their favorite NASCAR drivers. I saw one kid out there. He had the Jeff Gordon Flames and suit and hat on and everything. He's like, I'm a Gordon fan. It had to be 24, man. That was awesome. And to that kid, that was his thing. He was happy to be on the racetrack in a driver's suit and a helmet, racing that car. I talked to his parents for a good 20 minutes before his race, and here's what they do to motivate him to get into that car. Got to keep grades up. Got to do your chores. Got to pray. You got to go to church on Sundays when the race isn't on. That kid is now in his teens.
Sure.
I still have his number, and I'm not going to say his name on the air. I'm not that guy.
Mike. We'll call him Mike.
We'll call him Mike Jr.
We call everybody Mike.
We'll call him Mike Jr. He's a straight A student. He made the honor roll this last year. He's wants to be a professional race car driver. However, he's going to college first. He's going to get an engineering degree like Ryan Newman. That kid is I'm devastated for him because he will no longer get to race at Irwindale Speedway and live his goal. That is very disappointing to me.
Well, I know I keep on talking about Mesa Marin
and
the Central Valley, but in Kern County, they have a competition. Now they're over at Bakersfield Speedway, which is a little dirt track that's been there forever. But they had a high school racing league. We would go out there on Thursday, and North Bakersfield High and Bakersfield High and East High. Every high school had their own cars. Because they worked together with the ROP programs, and they all had auto shops.
Well, there you go.
So they would work all week on their cars. They go out Thursday, and it was a kick. And again, these kids are just old enough to drive. They're 16, 17 years old, and the car'd get wrecked. They'd haul it back to the high school, and they'd haul ass on getting that thing fixed. and the competition was incredible.
Yeah. And that's what you got to do is you get it done. I know tons of racers who, the week of a race car driver, of a Saturday night short track guy, they're my heroes. I swear to God. Because you look at these guys. They get up, 3, 4 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
after going to bed at 1 in the morning. They drive for 14 hours straight to get to the track. All they've had to eat is a Coke and a Slim Jim.
Mm-hmm.
They get to that track. They are tired. They're sleep deprived. They're hungry. They're cold. They work on their car. They get it dialed in for the race. They go out there, race. Nothing happens. They don't win the race. They just finish, outside the top 10. Very disappointing weekend. They drive home for another 14 hours.
Sure.
Get home, tear the car down, clean it up, fix everything up from the damage from the last weekend, and get up just in time to go to work on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, they're my heroes. I'm disappointed for them because now they've taken a huge hit financially and emotionally for this.
Yeah, and just to take it one step farther,
Mm-hmm.
we have a new car coming out for 2013.
Yes.
What does that mean for those guys that are racing now?
I tell you what, in the Cup Series, you're not in the Cup Series.
Well,
is a question.
Right.
You know what?
Are the nationwide cars going to remain the same?
Nationwide cars we got the new, I guess you can call it COT cars. They're going to be around in the Nationwide Series for years to come. They're not going to be changing. The Cup cars will change in 2013, which means the current Cup car will ultimately be for sale.
Okay, so are the nationwide cars also going to fuel injection this year? Or are they staying?
Yes, all 3 top tiers of NASCAR racing is fuel injection for this year. The reason being, simply put, manufacturers wanted it.
Yeah.
Wanted to seem more like the car that you can buy on Monday.
Sure.
It goes back to the old saying, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
There you go.
And real quick before the show's up here, very important day in NASCAR history today. Extraordinarily important day in NASCAR history. So, get in the car because we're going to take a little drive through history.
A drive through history.
All right, on today in a drive through history. Now, Ryan, go ahead and get ready for this because this day in NASCAR history was the very first NASCAR race.
The very first?
The very first NASCAR sanctioned race out in Daytona Beach, Florida, back in 1948.
That was back when they were actually racing part of the race on the beach. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You go to Daytona Beach, Florida, go ahead and stay on Highway 1A because that stretch of land is where the very first NASCAR race was held. Now, Daytona Beach and Road Course, it was the birthplace of stock car racing in America, is what some have claimed. It was the country's very first stock car race out on the beach back in the 19th century, actually.
Wow.
Right at the turn of the century is when cars were racing out there. Of course, then, around that time, they were just going out there and doing time trials.
Sure.
But in the 1920s, they started going out there with a couple cars banging fenders, and next thing you know, we got ourselves a little race in our hands. Now, the first 2 races out there were actually promoted by the city.
Oh, it was tourism.
It was.
It was a reason to bring people to the city.
Absolutely, and I got to tell you, it was horrific. Financially, made no money. Lost tons of money. The city didn't want to do it anymore, but they saw the money that it was bringing into their local area and into the economy.
They filled hotels.
Yeah, simply put, they loved the money. They just didn't like to promote it. So, on the hands of a guy named Big Bill France, a racer turned promoter, he said, hey, I could do a hell of a job doing this. Let me take it over. Now, the city handed the reins over to him, and, well, he continued doing it for a few years after that.
Quite a few years.
About 15 years. And then, in the 40s, actually in 1946, he decided, hey, I'm going to start a new thing. I'm going to start an organization. He called it, ready? CASCAR. CASCAR. Basically, it was a form of NASCAR, but it really wasn't working out. It lacked structural and management and, more importantly, involvement. So, back in 1947 of December, he sat down with a handful of promoters, race car drivers, track owners, and moonshiners. And they met at the Streamline Hotel for that historic meeting where they lined out rules and regulations for what eventually became NASCAR. They held their very first race at Daytona Beach on this day in history back in 1948. Yeah. And that's a drive-through history. Marvin Panch won that one. And did a heck of a job, too. Had a great car all day long. all day long. But they were, you know what the thing was, is they were fighting a number of things. You know, not only did you have crowds and you had all, you know, problems with the dirt and all these other problems going on, people sneaking in, but you had the tide. You know, it's like,
you gotta
hey,
get it. You gotta get it done.
we gotta get this in quick, guys. Come on, the water's coming up. We're gonna get wet here. Come on, hurry up. So, so fans flocked to the beach in hundreds and thousands. I mean, that race, it sold out. Very interesting problem, though. A number of people were sneaking through the fence. So Mrs. France came up with a very clever idea.
Which was?
Every 100 feet or so, they'd put up signs that simply said, "Warning, rattlesnakes."
Nice. Way to go, Mrs. France.
And literally, ticket sales tripled overnight.
Sweet. And that was really cool. You know, back in the day, whatever you had that was fast, you drove.
Absolutely. And Marshall Teague, you know, he got in a 47 Hudson Hornet, and that thing took off. You know why the Hornet was good? Because it was essentially an upside turn. It would take a bathtub, turn it upside down. That thing was built like a tank. It weighed about 10 jillion pounds. It cornered meh, but when you got the dirt track power slide going on, there you go.
Sure.
And for those of you that don't know, for you youngsters, the dirt track power slide, it's called drifting today. It happened back in the 40s. It's not anything new. It's happened on dirt tracks for a number of years. We blew the heck out of the format today.
Boy, we really went with it, didn't we?
I mean, this hour brought to you commercial-free by our friends at audio8ball.com. Audio8ball.com. Please keep us on the air. That's the show. This Saturday night, though, Budweiser Shootout.
Pick a winner.
Oh, geez. Geez, man. Oh, you pick a winner. You do it.
Kevin Harvick.
Really?
I think this is going to be a year for Harvick. I think he's been a bridesmaid too long. I think that whatever karma that he needed, he's grown within the sport. He was kind of a punk when he came in. Now he is one of the elder statesmen. I think he's tired, and I think he's going to win.
I think you're absolutely right. I'll tell you why he's going to win this year. RCR, from 4 Cup teams to 3. Whenever they go to 3, they have a dominating season. I think RCR is going to have a good season. Harvick's going to have a good season. Also, he doesn't have to worry about a nationwide or truck team.
That's right. He got rid of
He's got a lot more time on his hands.
Yeah.
So now he gets to relax, focus on the Cup stuff. And I got to tell you, he was good when he was distracted. What's he going to be like when he's really focused here?
All right.
Another thing is Delana and little Kevin Jr. Delana, she's pregnant, man. Do you hear about this?
Yes.
I'm so happy for them. It couldn't happen to nicer people.
Yes.
I'm so happy for Harvick and for that whole family. And they officially announced today on Twitter it is a boy.
Wow.
They're expecting a boy. Little Kevin Jr. Is what's going to be coming here in a few months here. So I think that that's going to be something that might distract him a little bit in the summertime.
But you talk about adrenaline. He's going to have adrenaline at the track, and he's also going to have adrenaline at home with the baby.
Absolutely. I think he's going to have a good year. I think I'm really excited for him and his future family. I think that they're going to have a good one. We're out of time. Pick a winner for the Budweiser Shootout. You got 30 seconds. Go.
For the Budweiser Shootout?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say I like Trevor Bayne.
Really?
Trevor races. Obviously, he races pretty good at Daytona. I think that might be a good thing. And you know, I really hate to say this.
Say it.
Carl Edwards.
I think Edwards is going to have a good run.
Carl Edwards runs well at Daytona. He's got the equipment. Everything is almost going his way now. And I think Carl's going to be tough.
I'm going to throw some names out there, and I'm going to tell you watch these guys because you physically cannot pick a winner at Daytona. Luck, car, draft, the big one. Too many factors in any restrictor plate race. I'm going to throw a handful of names out there, and I think one of them is going to be the winner. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick. You also have, what's this guy's name? Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Sure.
I think he's going to have a really strong running out there. But I'm also going to throw out Kurt Busch. I think he's going to have a really good ride at the restrictor plate races with Phoenix Racing. I think he's going to surprise some people.
Well, he always does when he drives the restrictor plate. I mean, he seems to have issues otherwise, but coming down to restrictor plate racing, he's always in the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. So I think it's going to be a very interesting speed weeks. I think it's going to be one like we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be on the air. We're going to be back in here next week.
Yes.
Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking to you about the, what am I thinking of? About the Bud Shootout. Also going to be gearing you up for the Gatorade Duel. We'll be in here after the Gatorade Duel for a very special Thursday edition of the Pit Pass. He's Brian Matthews. I'm Alan Bailey. And guess what? We'll see you at the track this weekend, Daytona, baby! It's Speed Weeks. Let's do this, boys. We'll see you at the track.
Audio8Ball.com, a service of Mount San Antonio College.
Walnut, California.
Audio 8 Ball.